Hello, my friend, and welcome to the Sales Podcast. I'm Wes Schaefer, the Sales Whisperer, your host. Today, we have Dan Lok. He is the king of high-ticket sales. I got an email from his team asking if he could be a guest on the podcast, and I looked the guy up, and the first thing I saw was, bam! You'll hear on the interview that I call him like Superman not Superman, Santa Claus with a nice suit. And he says he's Iron Man. It's the Iron Man suit, which it is. So I see his website, and I'm like, oh my gosh, who is this guy? So over the top, right? Learjet and cars. But you know what? This guy's the real deal. And he markets obviously differently than I do. He's got a very bold, ostentatious approach. But it works for him. It works for his clients. And when you hear his story, you'll be inspired. It's a classic, can't judge a book by its cover. He is over the top, right? But he backs it up. But he has a great story. He has a great heart. He's coming at this from the right place. He's been super successful. And I took a lot of notes from Dan. I moved him up in the schedule here. Because he offers so much value. I did not want to hold off. And, no offense to my other guests. They're all great. Dan just being an immigrant and overcoming the challenges that you'll hear about. It was just something I felt like we needed to move up in the schedule. And I enjoyed it as much as I hope you do. And but the tips, the advice, the information, the inspiration you're going to get, I think is going to help you end the year strong, start the year strong, and continue whatever you do in life a little bit better. So get ready to take some notes. And in the meantime, before we get to Dan, I would be remiss if I did not mention to you the Make Every Sale program. The pricing has changed. You can pay either month to month, or you can pay annually and save a couple of months. You still get the 1 year money-back guarantee. Come in. Surround yourself with people that are going to help you better improve, everything that you're doing in sales, in marketing, and prospecting, and networking, and advertising. I'll look at your websites. I'll look at landing pages. I can do some quick reviews of your copywriting, your calls to action. Where else can you get that for a couple $100 a month with a 1 year money-back guarantee? When you hear Dan's story, you'll hear the importance, how critical it was that he had a mentor. And he admits he was very lucky in who he got. We're not all that lucky. Sometimes you got to invest a little bit in the mentor. So that's what I offer you in the Make Every Sale course. Let me be your digital remote mentor to help you grow your sales. So head on over to makeeverysale.com, sign up, and then come back and listen to this episode. Now let's bring on our guest, Dan Lok. I'm looking at your website, man. Are you filling in? Are you the new Santa Claus with this red suit and the fancy jet?
I don't get a lot of Santa Claus comment, but I do get the people say it's the Iron Man suit. So I guess
Iron Man. All right, I got kids, man. I'm in full on Christmas mode. We haven't had Thanksgiving yet.
I do. You know what? In Halloween, Wes, I do have a full on like Batman costume that I wear during Halloween. Like a replica. It's pretty fun. You go out there and kids want to take pictures and all that. It's quite a lot of fun.
Man, so all right. So you're up in Vancouver. You just told me, but I'm sitting here. I'm looking at your site. Oh, where was it? There we go. Dan Lok came from humble beginnings and is a self-made multimillionaire, thanks in large part to his uncanny ability to increase sales. I'll just stop right there. You had me at hello, man. So that's why it's the Sales Podcast. Too many people, they underestimate the importance and the power of sales. But I do want to hear your story. I mean, you've got a bold presence, right? One of your websites we'll link to is FU Money. So that's not too subtle.
And sometimes people, Wes, ask me, well, what is that? Is that like food money? Is it what kind of money? Is this some acronym? I said, no, it's exactly what it is.
You're like, yeah, it's food money. And I didn't have enough letters, so it was just food money. So, man, how do you go from humble beginnings to private jets and and living large. I mean, it's like I was saying before, we want to hear the big story, but as you go, I want some of the little nuances, some of the subtleties. You know, I always say small hinges swing big doors.
100%.
Right. So in this big arc of your business growth, you know, I want to pull out those little hinges.
Well, first of all, I immigrated to Canada years ago with my mom when I was 14 years old, with no money, no connections, and not a word of the English language on my lips. As you can hear, I still speak with an accent. And when I was 16 years old, my mom and dad got divorced. So as the only child in my family, I had to mature and grow up and take care of my mom. And shortly after that, when I was 17 years old, my dad went bankrupt in Hong Kong. He was basically $1 million US in debt. And he never recovered from that. At first, he was sending us a little bit of money. Then he had no money to send us. So then I had to really now work and make money and be successful, because to me, maybe it's the culture that it's okay to let myself down. It's not okay to let my family down. I remember the conversation one time. I was finished school. I went home. At the time, my mom and we were living in a 1-bedroom condo, like a small little condo. I usually sleep in the living room. My mom slept in the room. It's one room. I came home after school. The door was closed, and my mom was talking with my dad on the phone. And I could hear my mom was crying. I don't hear my mom, because my mom is such a happy, positive person growing up, but she's crying. And I could hear kind of eavesdropping on the conversation and kind of having an argument with my dad. And I knock on the door, and Mom, is everything okay? And she's like, oh yeah, no, it's okay. No, don't worry about it. Just do your homework. And I never forget the facial expression my mom had, that hopeless, that look. I said, I don't want to see my mom have that expression ever again. So in a very early on, I made a commitment, a decision that I'm going to be very successful so I could take care of my family, in a way, kind of protect my family. And that's my drive. That's really my drive. And I knew I couldn't do that just working in a minimum dead-end job. So my whole life, my entire life career, I've only worked for someone for only 1 year. That was in a supermarket, just bagging groceries. You know, those grocery bagger when you check out and they take your groceries back out. Yep. Yeah, there you go. So that was the only job I ever had. I've only done that for 1 year. And any other than that, my whole life I've always worked for myself and nobody else.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do you make that transition? I mean, because it seems like now, at least in America, and I think it's in the Western civilization, Western society, that it's like the cool thing now is to be a victim, right? Because you could say, oh no, I'm an immigrant. Oh no, my parents are divorced. Oh no, my dad declared bankruptcy. So you have all the excuses in the world to be nobody.
Yeah.
Right. And you could probably get a Facebook page and Instagram account to be the biggest nobody out there.
Yes.
Yes. So where do you go from there? I mean,
I actually think, as you know, if you actually study research, you can see people in the millionaire status, immigrants are 2 to 3 times more likely to hit the millionaire status than just like people who are born in America, right? Even North America. I call that the immigrant edge. It's actually an edge because I know I don't take things for granted, right? Going to school, when I was in high school, I was one of the only 3 Chinese in my school. So I got bullied, I got beat up. I could have totally, like you said, used that as an excuse and say, hey, you know what, it's poor me and victim and this is the way it is, life sucks, right? Or say, you know what, I'm going to use that as an advantage and say, I'm going to make something out of myself. I'm going to shape myself and become who I want to be. So because of that, I know I will need to work twice as hard. I need to work 3 times as hard. The first 5 years when I was in business, the first 5 years in my business career, I was working 12 to 15 hours a day, not a single day off for 5 years straight. During that time in college, my friends, they're partying, chasing girls, watching game. I've never watched a game. I've never been to one of those, watching games and bars. I don't drink. I still don't drink. I still don't watch sports game. I still don't. I don't know what team is team. I don't have time for that. So it shaped, I made a decision. I paid the price. And so I think for people, it's not so much, you can use that as say, hey, you know what, poor me victim, there's nothing I can do. Or you can use that as a stepping stone, as a turning point and say, hey, you know what, I'm going to make my life freaking different. I'm going to do something else, right? So I started my first business just when I was in high school, just mowing lawns for people in our neighborhood with a couple of the buddies, right? My buddies got lawnmower and just making some money, and I tried to fix computers for people back then. I tried to get a little vending machine selling those bubble gum thing, right? And I tried all kinds of like the dumbest thing that you could imagine, trying to make some money. And unfortunately, most of those ventures didn't work. I had a massive amount of failure, right? In fact, I failed at 13 businesses before having my quote unquote first success. Now, at the time, just like most people, I was searching for answers. I mean, I read Tony Robbins, I read Think and Grow Rich, like back and forth 10 times, okay? I mean, Napoleon Hill, Brian Tracy, personal development. I think we've all gone through that. And I went through a lot of that. I went to seminars, right? And I did all these things. And they help to a degree, but that was not the answer. Until I found my first mentor. His name is Alan Jacks. And Alan, when I was in my early 20s, basically took me under his wings and became my mentor. And he taught me about business and marketing and sales and how it works and how to communicate, how to influence. And that may not be the answer for everybody, but that was the answer for me. Right. Finding the mentor, that was the turning point. And I worked for him for close to 1 year for next to nothing. Really didn't pay me that much. But I always referred that year as the $1 million year of my life, because I got a $1 million years worth of education through my mentor. And from there, started my one-man advertising agency, started my own copywriting business, which is just writing ads for people for business entrepreneurs, for companies. Right. Think of like if you ever show The Madman, yeah. It's a one-man advertising agency, just me in my early 20s doing this kind of stuff. And after the mentorship, I was at the time young guy in my early 20s, and I was making like $10K a month, $12K a month. And to me, that felt like $1 million. Now I know maybe people watching this may not be a lot of money for some people, but back then that was a lot of money for me, because sure. I was able to take care of my mom.
A lot of money for a lot of people. I mean, that's $120,000.
Yeah, it's six figures
a year. That's real money.
Yeah, for a guy early 20s, that felt like $1 million. I was able to take care of my mom. I was able to pay off some debt. I was able to, just able to live like decent life. So that was kind of my first taste of success. But the turning point was because I found my mentor.
Yeah. It's funny you say that, because I remember paying my first time I paid an individual to work with me one-on-one. Probably 2004. And that changed everything, because I had all the same thing, all the same Tony Robbins, same Napoleon Hill, all
motivational, all that stuff. Yeah.
I don't go to too many conferences anymore. I'll go if I'm speaking, of course, and I'll see the same people all the time at all the conferences. I remember a couple of years ago, I had like 4 or 5 in close succession. Like, I think I went to 5 conferences in about 3 months. And I spoke at all of them. So I'm like, okay, I mean, I get a free tickets, travel, a couple of them, they paid me, a couple of them let me sell from the stage. And I see the same people. I'm like, I did the math. It's like, if you're just going economy, I don't know, it was like $15,000 you probably would have spent to go to these 5 conferences, travel and, $300 hotels and meals. And these people are just taking notes at every session and spending their money and not applying anything. Like, why are you at all these things? I think people are just professional conference attendees, professional note takers.
I think it's not so much that. If you go deeper, because I think about these things, I think because there's frustration in their lives. They want to do something about their lives. They want a better life for themselves and for their family. And to them, they associate that. They think by going to a conference, at the very least, it feels like they're doing something. Actually, they're not. but at least it feels like they're doing something. So they get that. It's almost like a drug, right? It's a relief, right? It's a relief for that 3 days. Oh, I feel like, yeah, I'm meeting with people. I'm learning. I'm kind of growing. And then when they go back home, same old shit again. Then it's like, oh, man, I got to go to another conference, man. I got so beat up. I hate my job. I hate my business. I hate, whatever I'm working in, and I'm struggling. Oh, man, I got to get another conference, got another boost, right? It's kind of like caffeine. And so I feel bad for those people, because I think I've gone through that. I was like a seminar junkie. I mean, I'm sure, Wes, you've gone through that. But I think it's a phase, but they need to evolve from that phase and say, hey, now I've gone to the seminars. What's next? Maybe I need to implement. I need to execute. I need to find a mentor. I need to actually do something about what I've learned, right? And I think a lot of people never evolved into that, unfortunately.
How do you know it's the right mentor? Because it seems like a coach.
Yeah.
That's like the cool thing now. Yeah. It's like, hey, I got a hangnail. I got a hangnail the other day, and Starbucks, they only heated my coffee to 120 degrees, not 122 degrees. And I missed a red light that I usually make. And so I've overcome a lot, and you should pay me to be a life coach, because things I've overcome, and I'm $10,000 a month. I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
How do you know? How do you know they're any good?
You want the feel-good answer, or you want like the blunt truth?
I want the truth. I can handle the truth.
Okay, so I think, first of all, I'll give you a kind of litmus test. I think you can ask yourself these questions before, quote unquote, you hire any coach. Now, let me just say this. I think everyone has a right to make a living. I'm not here to judge that, right? If they want to help people, there's life coach or business coach or whatever coaching that they do. I think they want to do some good. Everyone has to make a right to make a living. I'm not here to judge that. I'm simply saying, if you're going to find a coach or mentor, it's very, very simple. First of all, ask yourself the question, have they been there and done that? Have they been there and done that? So if they're going to show you how to be successful in, let's say you want to lose weight, well, is the trainer fit? You want a six-pack abs? Does he or she have six-pack abs? I think that's a fair first litmus test, right? Believe it or not, right?
I have a keg.
Right? They'll believe it or not, if they use this, so this litmus test, have they been and done that? That eliminates a lot of people already. That's number one. Second thing is, do they make most of the money selling you stuff, or do they make a bulk of the money doing what they teach?
Right.
Do they just make all the money selling you courses, seminars? That's the only thing that they do, and there's nothing else. They make more of the revenue from that, just from coaching, or do they have something else outside of that? Is it the only thing that they do? Right? That's the second thing, right? The third thing, which I believe, is the philosophies, the values of a mentor have to align with you. They have to align.
Yeah. So
if they are into, you understand the philosophy, the way, the worldview, does it resonate with you and what you want to do and who you are? Because, we're not for everybody, right? So do that align? And you think about, have they been there and done that? Do they make most of money just doing consulting, or do they have something else outside of that? And plus, the value, does that align? You look at these, you ask yourself these three questions. That about eliminate 99% of people out there, quite frankly, right?
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, most relationship coaches are divorced. Yeah. Most prosperity coaches are broke. Most business coaches and consultants don't have clients. It's just the way it is, right? So if you dig a little bit deeper and do your own research, you won't waste time on a lot of them.
Yeah. And I have these talks with people. They'll come to me and I'll help them, and they're like, whatever, social media coach. He's this big social media coach. I'm like, well, first you should maybe get a social media following.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got to be a product of your product.
100%. Mm-hmm.
You can't drive a Mercedes and become the top BMW salesperson.
Nope.
I would bet money that it doesn't work. You're going to sabotage yourself, or somebody's going to see you at the McDonald's drive-thru and they're going to be, what the heck? The guy he doesn't drive what he sells.
And I think Wes, the thing is, I think nowadays with internet, with like Facebook and all that, people like to, puff up their chest and say, oh, they're not like whatever little success they have, they like to amplify that, to appeal to be more successful than they look because they think that's what attracts clients. That's not what attracts clients. I can tell you right now. Right. What attracts clients is your authenticity. It's being transparent. People find out this shit anyway. You can't hide it. Yep. You cannot hide it. So don't try to pretend that you're not that, then it's okay, right?
Yeah.
And you don't need to try to be that guy. And that's why sometimes people learn from it. Don't try to be like me. Be yourself. Be the best version, most powerful version, most resourceful version of you. Don't try to be like Dan. It doesn't really matter, right? So I think that when hey, your people are not looking for that perfect, plastic, fantastic person. Your audience, your clients, your prospects, you're looking for a girl that they can trust. That they feel like, you know what, I resonate with this person. Mm-hmm. This person understands me. This person understands what I'm going through. I trust that person. Let me buy from them. Let me learn from them. That's what people are looking for. You don't need to put yourself on that pedestal. Here's what's interesting. When you don't focus on that, when you're not focusing on, do I look good, all this shit, then naturally you earn the respect from the marketplace. And then you start building a following, right? It's like a chicken and egg thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have chickens and eggs in Canada?
Yes, I love chicken and egg.
All right. Yeah, as you mentioned earlier, you had mowed lawns. I thought y'all just like shoveled snow up there. You got grass?
Yes, but in Vancouver, it's not that cold. It's usually winter, a little bit of snow. Toronto is very cold. It's minus 30, right? So Vancouver, we get like maybe a few days of snow in a year.
I'm just updating my geography. One day I'm going to be on Jeopardy.
It's very, very similar to Seattle, Washington.
Yeah.
We're like a couple hours away.
All right, fine. Now I know you have grass. All right, cool. Okay, so you bring up something though, because you're talking about being authentic and not putting it out there, in an inauthentic way. And I see your marketing, and it is talking to you. Everything you do is consistent and authentic, but it's very bold. It's very big. Yeah. Was that by design? I mean, have you found that does that just attract the kind of clientele that you want?
Let's put it this way. Good question. I think first of all, I'll give you like two examples, right? You can see on my YouTube channel, I upload like my business. You can say my business YouTube channel, but I upload like martial art videos because that's my passion. And when I started doing that, probably earlier this year, I've consulted with 3 YouTube like top YouTube experts. They all say, Dan, is a bad idea. Don't do it. They see you as a business brand, as a personal brand. You're uploading martial arts stuff. You confuses the brand. Your value proposition is diluted, all this stuff, right? And I said, no, but it doesn't matter. It's who I am. It's what I do. It's my passion. I'm going to share it. Oh, no, don't do it. All 3 of them said it's a bad idea. Well, I started doing it. Guess what? Turns out to be one of the best decisions I've ever made, right? Not only grew my channel, but also I now have this another way to build my platform and share my message. And I love it because it's also my passion. It's who I am. So going back to your question, I take my qualities, I take who I am, but in my marketing, I just amplify it. So I take what I do, but I amplify it. So people say they just see me on stage, just see me on video, meet me in person. I'm the same. On stage, I'm just a little bit louder. That's all. I'm a little bit louder. But the truth is, the people, they watch my videos, they see what I do, they listen to my podcast, and very interestingly, because I've got hundreds of videos on YouTube, and they always think they know me, which actually they don't know shit. Talk to the people who know me, talk to people who have worked with me, then they'll see how much like I have a lot of depth. You see what I do? A lot of people, they're very surface level. Talk to people who work with me.
Right.
Actually, done business. They don't know how much depth I have. And that's why my people, my mentees, they stay with me 2, 3, 5, 6, 8 years. There's a reason for that, right? Because they see my growth. They see, I mean, outside of that, people see a tip of the iceberg.
Right.
It's just the way it is. People don't know you, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I started Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu this year, and I've been sharing that and taking my shirt off and showing the bruises and just the butt kicking I'm getting. And I've had more conversations with people about that, and it's been great. I'm tying it back into life, tying it back into business.
And there's a lot of correlate. There's a lot of relevancy. There's a lot of stuff it's transferable, right?
Sure.
The philosophy and all of that. So, and again, what's interesting is the branding experts said it's a wrong thing to do, but the marketplace is telling me it's the right thing to do. Right. Is they resonate with you in a different way, right? Oh, you're into that too. I'm into that too. Oh, it's like they found me, let's say, through martial art, and they know I'm a Bruce Lee fan, and they're a Bruce Lee fan. Oh, by the way, you're also a brilliant business guy. That's awesome, right? It's not like it has a negative effect. It's a positive effect. Right. On the other hand, the business entrepreneurs business people who are following me, they see a different side of me, right?
Right.
It's not just, the nice suit, the nice car and all that, but there's, okay. Then it's the fitness side, the philosophy side. That's also interesting. But it's all part of me. It's part of what I do. So it's you see my videos, it's just me. There's no script, I just do what I do, right? So it's very, very easy for me to do. And as a result, I'm able to meet so many interesting people, connect with different people. It's quite interesting. It's actually quite, I enjoy the process a lot.
Well, it's nice too when you're at the negotiation table that when your prospects and your competitors know, you can snap their neck like a twig.
Yeah, that's right.
It never hurts. I'm just saying.
It's a good card to have.
Can you lower your price a little? Would you like me to break your arm? No, we'll fine. We'll sign right here. Where? Right there. Thank you.
That's right. Right there. You're asking me to lower my price? Are you serious? Yeah, that's good.
I will fly across this table. I will armbar you.
No, we need to have a talk. Let's go outside.
If you ever want to sign anything again on your own with that arm, sign now.
Sign now. That's right.
No, we're lovers, man. We're not fighters.
No, I know.
All right. So you get this mentor. It sounded more like it was almost like an internship in a way.
It was.
So was he or is he a marketer? Was that?
Yeah, he used to run one of the most successful financial kind of education company in Canada, one of the top ones. So yeah, very successful guy, and he's been my mentor, still my mentor. Unfortunately, in I think it was 97. Yeah, he had Parkinson's disease, so he retired, but we still maintain a great relationship. I see him on a regular basis. A funny thing is, I'm the only quote unquote mentee he's had over the years. I'm the only one.
Cool.
And I still talk with him, and I'm very grateful for that. So he's my first mentor, and of course, over the years, I've had many. I learned from a lot of different people, obviously, but officially, I've had basically 2 mentors. So that's the first one. The second one. The second mentor I have, his name is Dan Pena. It's quite well known on YouTube, on internet, known as the $50 billion man, right? Dan Pena. And his claim to fame is grew a company from zero to $450 million in 8 years in the oil industry.
Oh, wow.
And also he coaches some of the top executives, Fortune 500 in the world. So he's been my mentor for almost 8-9 years now.
Nice.
So it's the way I talk about mentor. That's why I'm very careful about using the word. Like, you have coaches and consultants, but mentor to me is a very different thing. A mentor is a very one-on-one relationship. It's not like a program that you sign up. It's not like that. It's much more like if in martial art term, like a Sifu student relationship, right? It's very intimate. It's very special. Right. And that's why I've been with them for many, many years. It's not, I signed up for this program for 6 months. It's not like that. I mean, they're my mentor for life. So, so I treat them. Yeah, it's like, it's a different relationship. That's what I mean. So I use that word very, very carefully. So you hire a coach or a mentor is different to me, from my definition.
So you're working with your first mentor. How did it come to be that you ended up in copywriting and a one-man ad man?
Yeah. Well, he was just teaching me. He said, Dan, you got to have some kind of skill that you can make money. with. And I said, okay, so what should I do? He said, well, he's what the company at the time needs. Why don't I teach you how to write copy? I said, what is that? Oh, it's how to write words and to persuade and convince people to buy stuff. I said, okay. And then we're just learning that. I wasn't thinking about too much. You got to understand, right? I flung English twice when I was in high school. So learning how to write in English is tough, right? Tough as hell. But he taught me that. I'm so glad he taught me that, because that's a skill that it's so helpful for the rest of my life.
Right.
And so it's just because of that, he needs that help. And I was writing for him. And afterwards, because I was writing for his different projects and people were asking him, well, who writes this stuff? Oh, I said, Dan did. Oh, okay. Maybe I can hire him. And that's how it's into people. Oh, maybe I should start my own one-man agency to do that. And from copywriting, it evolves into more like a marketing consultation, because as you're doing writing copy, people say, oh, how do I use these things, right? Okay, you would use it this way and that way, and that becomes my second skill set. And it's very critical, because a lot of people, I think they're looking for the vehicle. What vehicle would help me become rich or successful, instead of looking at the skill sets? I'm more about skill sets. Right. What skill sets you have they can bring to the marketplace. So my very first, what I refer to as high income skill, is copywriting skill. My second skill is marketing consultation. Then from there, I went on the internet, started selling my first book, and then later on ebook on the internet. That's how I kind of got into. I was importing stuff from Hong Kong, selling Bruce Lee collectibles on eBay, right? I was doing affiliate marketing. So I transitioned at that time into internet marketing. And now you can say it could be timing, it could be whatever you call that, that it just a little bit luck, and it just took off. All my stuff, all my product, it was just selling so well. When I was doing affiliate marketing, I was making, as a young guy, 20-something, ridiculous amount of money, right? I've never seen so much money in my life. Never seen so much money. And because of that, I made the money. And a smart thing that I did was, as I was making the money, and people were asking me, is this, wonder boy, like, what does he do? Like, kind of geeky with my glasses at the time, spiky hair. What's this? He's doing this internet stuff. It's making, how does he do it? Well, just do this and this. Is it? Well, can you teach it? What do you mean teaching it? Or can you teach it? Groups, like 4 or 5 people. And that's how I started my first kind of workshop. Never thought of becoming a workshop thing. 4 or 5 people, 6 people, I started teaching this class. And then more and more people showed up, and I started charging more money. And that's how I kind of transitioned into the whole speaking and teaching thing, training business. And so it's very, very, very interesting. It's very, very how that evolves. But it's always one skill set to the next, to the next, to the next, right? As I make more money, of course, you need to learn how to invest. Then I evolve into becoming a more investor in different companies, right? And then I hone my investing skills. So it's one by one, one by one. But I never focus on the opportunity. I focus on myself. Who do I have to be in order to capitalize on these opportunities versus what's the magic pill? What's the vehicle? People now look at me and say, oh, Dan, you got the Midas touch. Whatever you touch turns into gold. I said, well, you should have met me when I was young. When everything I turns into shit, right? Every business I was involved in, every single one of them lost money. I buy the stock, it would go down next day. It was incredible, right? You would do very well if you just bet against it. If I buy a stock, just short it. You'll make a lot of money, right? Yeah. I had just the bad luck. Everything I touch just turns into like disaster. But now, because of who I am, my mindset, my skill set, I'm a different businessman today. That's why when I'm involved with different opportunities, that they work. Not the opportunity, because I have changed, right? I have changed. And that's the biggest thing. Just right before this call, I just closed a big deal. Just before this call, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not a...
That's because you knew you were going to be on with the Sales Whisperer. You had to focus. I made you better.
Yeah. Maybe. You channeled the energy through me, and I closed that deal.
I was whispering through the internet
and sending some positive thought.
I should charge for that, man. So we need to talk. How do I bundle that electron
into that might sell very well. But you know what I mean, the West, right? So it's more focusing on that, I think.
Yep. Yeah. Very cool. So as you were growing, because a lot of people, they are still doers of the craft, and they still see themselves as how they were in the beginning, or maybe 5 years ago or 10 years ago, and don't realize they've gotten twice as good. They've gotten 10 times as good. So they should charge twice as much or 10 times as much, or they should train somebody under them to do what they do, and they should consult on top of that. How did you make that transition, right? Because you're sitting there making money, doing your thing, and the people say, hey, come teach us, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, when that hits you, you're like, I don't have a course. Is this a $97 workshop? Is it like bring me $5 and some lunch?
Yeah, my first workshop is actually $47, just so you know.
Yeah, 47. And so, how do you go from 47 to 470 to 1,470? Because people they undercharge terribly.
Yes. And that's one of the things I teach. First of all, I think let me give you an overall philosophy. First of all, you're always undercharging. Just put that in your mind, first of all. Plant that seed in your mind. You're always undercharging. I don't care how much you charge. I'm undercharging. Okay? And most of the time, people are afraid to increase their prices. It's usually because they have their own insecurity. Or who's going to pay me? Am I going to lose clients? Or what's going to happen? And then what people think of me? Will they think I'm greedy? All these things. We project our own stuff onto the marketplace, right? So you got to think about in terms of pricing. There's only one law you need to learn, and that's supply and demand. Supply and demand. If you can use that law to your advantage, knowing, you know what, restrict the supply that you have. Restrict. If you say, hey, hire me anytime, I'm always available, call me anytime, well, guess what? Then you're not very valuable.
My cell phone, you can reach me at night.
Yeah. Then you're not very valuable. To help you. 100%. It's the opposite of that. Versus if you can drive up the demand, depends on through your marketing and sales, whatever that you do, you drive up the demand, and at the same time, you restrict your supply. Now you've got the pricing strategy working for you, right? In your favor. So people have to understand that. Guess what? Early on, I learned from my mentor, very early on, even as a copywriter, I learned that. That's why I was able to charge that kind of money when I was as a young kid. Because most people, just to give you some context, okay? Most people back then when I was doing copywriting, I was charging about $1,000 for a marketing piece, to write a marketing piece. At the time, the top copywriters in the country are charging about $12,000 to $15,000 for a marketing piece, just to give you an idea, the comparison, right? So I asked myself the question, well, how am I going to get to that 10, 12, 15K a price point? I talked to a lot of people, experienced copywriters, and they say, well, you got to pay your dues 20 years. You'll get there. Well, I said, I don't have 20 years.
Yep.
How can I get there in 2? So I did 2 things. Number one, I drove up the demand. So one of the things I did is pretty smart. Thinking about it, still pretty smart today. I actually, back before podcast, I interview at a time 19 of the top copywriters in the country. People who are at the top of the game. I interview all of them. And I put together a package. And at the time, I'm talking about cassette tape. You know those? Cassette tape. Okay? I record it. I put together a package. I put it online for sale for $797. It's like a 19, 20 cassette tape set, right? I didn't sell any. I wasn't meant to sell any. Because now whenever I meet with potential client, I just show them this. You know, all these guys, and of course I didn't interview with myself. I have my friend just interview me. As all these guys are charging $12,000, $15,000, I'm in this package. I only charge $5,000. And I'm in front of you face to face. So I leapfrog that. It's called branding by association, right? Yeah. I put myself in that category in this very short period of time. Instead of 20 years, I can leapfrog and charge more money. In the meantime, I also up my skill, right? And I was very, very focused, was niching, writing copy for certain type of entrepreneurs, speakers, and people do seminars. So I become very, very good at that. And that's why they're willing to pay me the big bucks, because instead of paying, let's say they're selling a $5,000 boot camp or $3,000 seminar. Well, if my marketing piece can bring in 100, 150 attendees, they pay me $5,000, $10,000, no problem. It's easy to justify that, right? So that's what I learned at an early age. It's not about what you sell, it's who you sell to.
No.
You can sell the exact same thing, the exact same service. You change who you sell to, you can sell to 2, 3, 5 times more money. My philosophy is only very simple. Sell to players with money. Only sell to players with money.
Yeah, that usually helps.
Right? Why would you try to sell to people who's got no money? Yeah. They cannot buy a $10 thing. They definitely cannot buy a $100 thing. They cannot buy a $1,000 thing.
Right.
And what I've noticed is, again, many lessons I learned from Alan. It takes the same amount of effort to sell a $5,000 thing versus a $500 thing. It doesn't take 10 times more effort. In some cases, it takes less effort.
Yeah.
And so from very early on, I learned about high ticket sales. I didn't have a term for it back then. I just learned a premium price. It's easier. And then guess what? The people you charge more money to, they're easier to work with. The people that you have problem with, the pain in the butt clients, always because you lowball or you give them a discount, there's always a pain in the ass to work with. People pay you the most. The people who pay me the most at this point, my clients who pay me the most amount of money, I spend the least amount of time with.
Yep.
Right? Because that's not what they're paying for. They're not paying for time. They're paying for my value.
Right.
They're not paying for my time. They're not, how many hours you give me, how many coaching hours. Not thinking about that.
Yep. So I want to go back to that cassette thing though, because that was interesting. So you said you were charging 1,000, they were charging 12.
12.
You interviewed all of them, so you still sold less at a lower rate, but it was 5x what you were previously getting, right?
Correct.
Was that the goal in the beginning, or did you really hope to sell some cassette tapes as well?
No, I never. I knew I wouldn't sell. I knew it wouldn't sell, but it's a positioning tool. Just like why I wrote my first book in my early 20s. I've now written 13 books. It's a business card. I don't have a business card. My book's a business card. So when I meet someone, I just give them a book. I've been doing that for like 13 years now. Every single year I publish a new book. So like early on, I knew that I wanted to do something different. And that's why everything I do is so different. Think about it. Whereas early 20s, thinking about doing a cassette program, not planning to sell, writing your first book in early 20s to get clients. Right? And that's how my mind was working in my like 21, 22. Forget how my mind works today. Right? And I think differently. I do things differently. I'm looking at everyone is taking stairs. I want to see where's the elevator button. Right?
Yep.
What can I do to shortcut the process? And that's how not that I don't do the work. It just, is there a smarter and better way of doing this? Right?
Yeah.
And selling at a premium price, for sure it is. Because there's no, everybody's trying to compete at a low price. On the internet, it's $97, right? $197 or a $2,000 program. Nobody's selling $20,000 program. Nobody's selling $30,000 program. Very few, not nobody. You know what I mean, right? There's less competition at the top level because everybody is scared or they don't know how or the fear. Good. Then let them compete at low price. I just sell the high price, right? And you should do the same. That's what I'm saying. If you're listening to this or watching this, that there's less traffic at the top. There's a lot of traffic at the bottom, right?
Yep. How do you know, though? How do you know what to throw in there? You see the avalanche close, right?
Yeah.
Hey, get this, but wait. You'll get 2 sets. And wait, you're also going to get this. And then you come out with a $30,000 program. The people that want a $30,000 program that can pay for a $30,000 program, they don't want 697 additional little features and access to 4,000 hours of private, never before seen, locked up video footage.
Yeah.
Right?
It's very, very simple. It's very simple because I think at the lower price point, what most people do, let's say we're talking about a coaching business, right? There are a lot of the $2,000, you're selling information. At that higher price point of 10, 20, 30,000, you're not selling information. You're providing a transformation. And there's a big distinction. Transformation in terms of what's the outcome that the prospect, the client wants.
Right.
And how can you get them sooner? Do they have to watch like 300 freaking videos to get there? Or can they get there in a very short period of time, right? Not like they don't want to learn stuff. They just want you to, if you can provide some more done for you, you can charge more.
Yep. If
you can do more, give them just like when I work with someone, I don't just, the consulting I do is probably maybe 20% of value I bring on the table. A lot of what I bring to the table, it's the team that I have, right? What I'm able to do. Also my connections, my Rolodex, that I can refer something and pick up a phone. That phone call could be worth 6-figure to my new client. So whatever they pay me, we recoup all the money in days. So how can you quantify that? I'm not thinking, here's like umpteen videos and 500 PDF, watch this shit, right? No, It's not that, right? So it's very, in terms of, let's say we're selling business advice and sales advice and coaching. Well, it's always my number is the ratio of 1 to 10. If I can make the guy $1 million, well, it's easy for him to pay me $100K. If I make him 10 million, he can pay me $1 million, right? Yep. So it's a simple math, right? Marketing is math. So look at it that way. Yeah, they're not paying they don't care how many hours they get with me. That's not what they're thinking.
Yep.
No.
How do you know you're going to produce that result?
I just know. And a lot of that is client selection. I won't take on a client if I don't think I produce the results. Now, does that mean I'm always 100% be able to produce results? Nobody could do that. But if you select your client carefully and you know there are, like if you go into the business and you know there are 30 things that you can help him with, you can fix. But you know what? If I don't fix 30, I fix 5, that's all as a result is going to make him X amount more money. And I'm confident I can fix that 5 thing in the next 2-3 months. You know what? It's going to work.
Yep.
Right. So it's a lot of that is client selection. I just know. I know. And before, that's why I spent a lot of time truly interviewing the client and looking at the business, looking at what I do. Because to me, that's also a cost of opportunity cost. Yeah. I take on a client, it means I cannot take on another client. So if I don't think I can make him a certain amount of money in compensation that's going to be rewarding for me and my team, then I just don't take it on. Why bother? Right? Because I do a lot of work front end loaded anyway. Yeah. So I don't. So I always say you only be effective by being selective.
Yeah.
So you have to select the clients very, very, very well. Versus, anybody that writes a check, yeah, I'll take on that. Shit, don't do that.
Yep.
Hell, don't do that, right? Definitely don't do that. You want to be selective. But how can you do that when you have no clients coming in? How can you do that when you have no lead flow? How can you do that when you're just getting started? I'm saying you need to start doing that day one. Don't wait till you make it, then you do it. No. You won't make it until you do this.
Yep.
You be very selective. What you're about, who you are for, who you're not for in your marketing. You can clearly see. I offend a lot of people. A lot of people see what I do. I don't like this guy. I don't like his style. Good. You're not my client. We're not going to be doing business. So good luck to you. It's perfectly fine. Right. Yep. I get haters every single day. It's awesome. Right. I only want to resonate and be quote unquote magnetic to people who will resonate with me. Right. People who don't like my direct style, they don't like my direct approach, they're not going to do business with me anyway. Well, I attract the people, you know what, get stuff done. I like Dan's approach, the blunt approach. Let's make shit happen. So my brand naturally, like you said, attracts the people who are high performers. The people with low self-esteem, they don't like my stuff because I'm too blunt.
Yeah.
Right. I call the bullshit, right? They don't like my stuff, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I call it, you got to choose who to lose.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. 100%. 100%. Wow. And it's especially at this point in my career, like I have to be like very, very selective.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I tell the guy, like, I don't need your money. Yeah. Chances are, whatever you do, I'll make way more money than you anyway. As a mentor, as a consultant. I don't think you meet them and a mentor makes more money than you, right? I'm just talking to the client, right? So I said, I eat my own cooking. So if you think we can work together, good, right? If you don't, that's okay. It's not like, I'm begging, please, join my program and all this. I don't care.
See,
I really don't care.
It's the joy of working at home. I got my little worker. She brings me lunch. She knows I've been
nice. Hello.
Slaving away. Brings me some egg rolls. What is that? Coconut shrimp?
I think
coconut shrimp.
Mango sticky.
All right. Thank you, baby.
Mom was going to the freezer, so.
That's so awesome. That is awesome.
They hear me. They just tiptoe in real quietly. Like, come on in. I don't care.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Kind of like choose who lose, right? If a client gets upset and my kid brings me food, I'm like, yeah, I'm probably not the right fit for you.
Yeah. So that's what I mean, right? So it's client selection. Big key. Big.
Yeah, and that's awesome. I tell people, our job as salespeople is to disqualify.
Yes. Love that. 100%. Just sift and sort.
Yeah. Sort, sift, and separate, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Bam. Well, Dan, this has been awesome, man. I have links to your site. So we're going to link to fumoney.com. That's for your book, right? Your ebook.
Take it down on the book, yep.
We've got danlok.com, and it's Dan Lok. It's LOK.
LOK.com, yes.
But we'll link to that. I'll link to your YouTube as well. Oh, I click your YouTube. Like, where's that voice coming from? Oh, it's your website.
Yeah. So the YouTube, I've got like at this point, I think 500 some more videos on there. We upload new video every single day. Every single day, we upload new video.
Wow.
So, yeah, I've got right.
So do you have like a videographer following you around, or just your iPhone, just making them quick?
No. I don't. I set up the time to do shows at this point. But starting next year, yes, I will have a videographer follow me around.
Nice. It's a world of video today, isn't it?
That's it, man. That's it. So now we've grown. Now I think at this point, that we're recording this is 70,000, about 70,000 somewhat subscribers.
75,000.
Probably. Yeah. Next year, probably 100,000. But my goal is 1 million subscribers. So maybe a couple of years we'll get there.
Right. Very nice. Well, when you get there, we'll have you back on.
That's good. That's good. I like that. I'll set that as a goal. I'll set that as a goal. Hey, Dan, you hit the number. Come back on. I'll do that.
Wait. New phone. Who dis?
I do have it. This is my iPhone 10. The iPhone.
Do you like it?
Oh, it's pretty good. Pretty better because my phone was iPhone 6. I think it's been a couple years.
Yeah.
So I just got this. My wife got me this one, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, I think I'm going to keep this one for 2 years. I got the 7 Plus. I'm like, you know what? It's fine.
It's the same stuff. Actually, what's the difference? I feel it's the same.
I know.
I don't see a big difference.
I had it in my cart, right? it was loaded. I picked the big one, and I saw like $1,453. I'm like,
yeah.
It was just the principle of the thing. It's like, I'll give you the money, but do I need it? Like, what's the ROI on that?
There's no.
I'd rather have less technology in my life, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's very, very true. Yeah, I think when it gets very slow in every couple of years, you get a new one. But
it's fine. Like this one, it's still fine. I'm like, you know what? I'll wait a year. I'll go buy. Plus, I want to make sure this thing gets the kinks worked out. Even though Apple knows their stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's a totally new model.
Yeah, it is. And I use it just for mainly like email and basic like text. I don't have like a ton of apps and stuff, so I don't use it a lot for them. So it's fine. It's a little bit faster. The camera is a bit nicer. My wife loves that. A little bit selfie here and there. But other than that, it's the same. I don't use it a lot, right?
That's awesome. Well, I don't travel a whole bunch, but if I get up north, I will come see you. But if you come to Southern California, please let me know, and I'll meet you.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. I think next year I'll be traveling quite a bit to the States because I'm speaking at a couple conferences.
Cool.
So I'll let you know. I'll let you know.
Close to San Diego, close to LA.
San Diego, yeah. I have a couple of students up in San Diego as well.
Oh, good.
So I might go visit them as well. So yeah, for sure.
All right, man. Well, thanks for coming to the show. It's been awesome. Have a great day.
You got it. Have a great day.
All right, so FU money, that's pretty bold. I don't know if I would do that, but hey, it works for him, and it does work for some people. You know, I have a link to the guy, Dan Pena. He talked about the $50 billion man. Be warned, that guy's got a potty mouth. So just like to put it out there and warn you. You know, when I'm hanging out with the boys, talking some smack, sometimes I might use a little salty language, but it's in private. I rarely use any foul language, publicly speaking. And it seems like a lot of people do. It's kind of the trend. I don't know if Gary Vaynerchuk made it cool. And at least with Gary V, that's how he really is. You know, he lays it out there. And so that's cool. But when people try to emulate him, and it's not their real style, I think you get in trouble. That's not Dan, right? Dan is what you see is what you get. So he's got a little salty language, a bold, FU approach, and it works. I've been following some of his martial arts videos he talked about. I was able to hop on YouTube and catch some of that. I've been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu now for 10 months. Just got my 4th stripe as a white belt. I'm actually starting to learn a little bit. Golly, it's hard. So hard. But I mean, I'm going 4 to 6 days a week, 90 minutes each lesson. A lot of times I'll stay a little bit longer. So I'm easily out there for 2 hours, at a time, 4 to 6 days a week. And having a great mentor there We have, I think he's the number 2 black belt in his division in the world right now. And having somebody of that caliber, and then he runs a great school. So the reason I stay long is because there are higher belts, purple and brown belts, even a couple of black belts that'll stick around and roll extra. And really, it's like a private lesson. We get after it. They beat me, and they show me how they beat me. They show me how to defend it, and we go again. And that's what it's all about. That's how you learn, and that's the approach, the type of model that I emulate, where we help you in the Make Every Sale program. Just like doing jiu-jitsu, just like doing martial arts like Dan does. It takes time and time and time and repetition and repetition and repetition. It's not enough to know 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 moves. You have to know a handful of moves and master them. It's that old adage, hey, master, sensei, I've learned 10,000 moves. He says, great, I'm not afraid of you. I'm afraid of the guy that has learned one move and practiced it 10,000 times, and now I see it. There's a certain, in jiu-jitsu, there's ways to get your opponent to tap. So, there's chokes, like literally put your arms around their throat and cut off the circulation to their head, and they tap. You can manipulate joints, right? Ankles, feet, wrists, elbows, shoulders. And so I learned a particular choke. I'm a bigger guy, right? 6'2", over 220 pounds. And one of the higher belts, actually, that I roll with a lot of extra. He showed me this move. And it works like a champ. It works against smaller guys. It works against bigger guys. It works like a champ. So I go to this move. When I was playing a lot of golf, they recommended you needed a go-to club, right? 7-iron, 8-iron, 9-iron, something. You needed a club that you could always hit under pressure. And having a mid-iron like that helped, because typically, the difference between a professional and an amateur golfer is how they hit the ball, how they score from 150 yards and in. So could you have a clutch, club you could go to? Well, same thing in martial arts. Do you have a clutch move that you can perform to either win, right, or get your opponent scared, right, get him off his game? Because even if I don't sink that one choke, I do it well, and they have to put a lot of energy and effort to defend it. And what happens, they'll either get tired, and I'll catch them later, or they'll open themselves up to another attack, right? Something else, maybe an arm or a wrist, something I can get after. But, I bring this up because jiu-jitsu is just like life. It's just like business. It's just like sales. It's hard, but it's a lot easier when you have someone to go through it with you. It's a lot easier when you have a team of someone's going through it with you. It's a lot easier when you have a world champion leading the way. It's not enough to practice. Practice does not make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. Okay? Just today, I went and the instructor today, because our main guy, Ricardo, is traveling. He's in Brazil, actually, competing. And so another black belt is leading the course. But Ricardo does this as well. But all the black belts, they walk around and they're like, no, move your foot right here, right? Grab your shin, not your ankle. Put your foot on the hip, not on the knee. So we're talking 6 inches, 18 inches, moving your hand 3 or 4 inches to the shin versus the ankle to tighten on a hold. So those little subtleties, perfect practice makes perfect. So when you give me your elevator pitch, when you give me your opening phrase on a cold call, when you give me your common objections and how you reply to them, when you give me your call to action or your proposed headline for an email or for a landing page, 1 word, 2 words, an opening sentence can make all of the difference. How much would you pay to have someone review your scripts, your landing pages, your elevator pitch, review your artwork and design and flyers for a trade show. Thousands of dollars. And you'd have to wait in line to get that kind of help. But you can get it here all the time in the group, right? We have a private group. Upload your question, upload your links, upload your artwork. And if I'm in between calls, if I've got a minute, and I usually do, right? I don't jam up my days. So I have time to go do jiu-jitsu for 2 hours in the middle of the day. I have time to review these things. This is what I want to do. Help you grow. To do it one-on-one, you're going to pay $500 an hour. You're going to pay $1,500 a month to get a couple calls. You're going to sign up for $2,500 a month for 90 days. But you can get this for a couple $100 a month with a 1-year money-back guarantee. You can sign up for a year and get 2 months for free. I don't know how else to do it, how else I can better serve you. So check that out and gain the insight from my interviews, because I can't put everything in the blog post. I can't put everything into these audio interviews. There's always nuances. There's always things that I talk with my guests before we hit record and after. And it's not that I hold them back. It's just that I'm busy and I can't get to every little thing. So you can pick my brain. You can ask more questions, and I can elaborate on points from expert guests like this and just my own experiences of 2+ decades in the trenches making sales. So join us, all right? Invest in yourself. Unsubscribe from a bunch of other stuff. It's cluttering your brain, your inbox. Let's get some clarity. Let's focus. Let's end the year strong. Let's start the new year strong. And then together, we can make every sale. You feel me? Now go sell something.